There is a stage of life that almost no one warns you about. It does not arrive with chaos or collapse. It does not announce itself through loss or failure. Instead, it settles quietly inside routine. Life keeps functioning. You wake up, follow schedules, meet obligations, and respond to expectations. You appear reliable, capable, stable. From the outside, everything looks fine. Yet internally, a subtle disconnect begins to grow. Not loud enough to cause panic. Not painful enough to demand immediate change. Just present enough to be felt. A sense that you are constantly doing something, yet slowly losing contact with why you are doing any of it. This is the moment when busyness becomes dangerous. Because busyness feels responsible. It feels mature. It feels like forward motion. You are not avoiding life. You are participating in it. You are handling what needs to be handled. And because society rewards this behavior, it reinforces the pattern. Praise replaces reflection. Productivity replaces clarity. Over time, being busy becomes a form of validation. Proof that you matter. Proof that you are contributing. Proof that you are not wasting time. And without realizing it, you begin to measure your worth by how occupied you are. At first, this feels empowering. Your days are full. Your calendar is active. You are needed. But fullness is not the same as fulfillment. Slowly, the pace becomes normal. Silence feels strange. Empty time feels uncomfortable. Moments without stimulation begin to feel like gaps that must be filled. So you fill them with work, with planning, with noise, with low-level tasks that create the illusion of control, not because they are necessary, but because they keep you from stopping. And stopping feels threatening when your identity is built on movement. The threat is not failure, the threat is awareness. Because awareness asks questions that movement avoids. Questions like whether this life was consciously chosen or gradually assembled through habit and expectation. Questions about direction, not efficiency. Meaning, not output. These questions do not have quick answers. They require patience. And patience feels unproductive to a mind trained to equate speed with success. So instead of answering them, most people outrun them. This is why exhaustion often appears without explanation. You are not necessarily doing more than before, but the effort feels heavier. Tasks that once felt neutral now feel draining. Motivation fades faster. Rest stops working the way it used to. And still, you keep going. Because stopping would require admitting that the exhaustion is not physical. It is existential. It comes from sustaining a life that is active but misaligned, a life that consumes energy without generating meaning. Directionless effort creates a specific kind of pressure. You feel urgency without clarity, responsibility without ownership. You are always responding, rarely choosing, always maintaining, rarely creating. And because everything remains functional, there is no obvious reason to change. No crisis to justify reflection. So the pattern continues. Weeks pass, months pass, years pass, and the cost is paid slowly through a growing sense of detachment from your own life. Many people misinterpret this state as laziness, weakness, or lack of discipline. They believe something is wrong with them, that they need more structure, more pressure, more motivation. But adding intensity to a misaligned direction only increases friction. You can push harder, but you will not feel better, because the issue is not effort, it is intention. And intention cannot be forced, it must be clarified. There is a subtle but critical difference between discipline and avoidance. Discipline is guided by values, avoidance is guided by fear. From the outside, they can look identical. Both involve consistency, both involve responsibility, both involve sacrifice, but internally, they feel very different. Discipline brings a quiet sense of coherence. Avoidance brings numbness. And numbness is deceptive because it dulls dissatisfaction without creating fulfillment. Stillness disrupts this numbness. That is why it feels uncomfortable. When you slow down, the noise fades, the distractions lose power, and you begin to notice patterns you could previously ignore. How often you say yes automatically, how rarely you question long-term direction, how easily motion replaces meaning. This awareness does not feel productive, it feels destabilizing. But destabilization is sometimes necessary for realignment. Clarity rarely arrives through constant action. It arrives through space, through subtraction, through allowing uncertainty to exist without immediately filling it. This is difficult in a culture that worships optimization. Space looks like waste, pauses look like weakness, reflection looks like delay. And yet, without these elements, movement becomes blind. You go faster, but you do not go deeper. You cover distance, but not direction. Over time, this creates a life that feels managed rather than lived. You become efficient at maintaining systems that no longer inspire you. Success brings relief instead of satisfaction. Achievements feel temporary because they are not rooted in purpose. And even when everything appears stable, a quiet dissatisfaction remains. Not because you want more, but because you want different. The realization that you have been keeping yourself busy does not arrive dramatically. It arrives quietly, as a calm but sobering recognition, a sense that continuing this way will not lead anywhere new. That speed has replaced direction. That motion has replaced intention. This moment is uncomfortable, but it is also powerful, because it signals the return of consciousness. This awareness does not demand destruction. It does not require abandoning responsibilities or escaping reality. It requires alignment, the courage to examine what truly matters, the discipline to remove what only creates noise. Direction is not found by adding more. It is found by choosing better. True progress often appears slower from the outside. It may involve fewer commitments, clearer boundaries, more deliberate choices. It may require disappointing expectations that were never aligned with who you are becoming. It may require patience during a phase that feels uncertain, but unlike constant busyness, this movement has meaning. It leads somewhere real. Some of the most confined lives are not limited by circumstance, but by constant occupation. When every moment is filled, there is no room to choose differently, no space to reflect, no silence to recalibrate, and so life continues on autopilot, functional, predictable, quietly unfulfilling. That moment of realization is not the end. It is an invitation to stop using movement as escape, to stop mistaking busyness for purpose, to reclaim direction through conscious choice rather than default behavior, because freedom is not found in how much you can endure, it is found in how intentionally you live. Progress begins when motion is no longer automatic, when silence is no longer feared, when direction matters more than speed. And the day you stop running from stillness is the day your life begins to realign, quietly, deliberately, and on your own terms. There is another layer to this pattern that often goes unnoticed. Being busy does not only protect you from uncomfortable questions, it also creates a sense of importance. When people need you, when messages keep arriving, when tasks keep piling up, it feels like proof that you matter, that your presence makes a difference. Over time, this feeling becomes addictive, not because it brings joy, but because it brings reassurance. As long as you are needed, you don't have to question your place. You don't have to face the fear of being replaceable. Busyness becomes a shield against insignificance. This is why empty time can feel threatening. When nothing demands your attention, you are left alone with yourself. No validation, no urgency, no external confirmation that you are useful. And for someone who has built identity around being needed, this silence feels like loss. So you avoid it. You fill the space before it can expand. You create tasks. You extend work. You stay reachable at all times, not because it is required, but because it preserves a familiar sense of worth. Gradually, the line between responsibility and self-worth begins to blur. You stop asking whether something is meaningful and start asking whether it keeps you relevant. You say yes automatically. You accept weight that was never meant to be carried long-term, and because this behavior is often praised, it feels justified. But internally, something shifts. You are no longer choosing your actions are choosing you. Another illusion, created by constant occupation, is the belief that clarity will arrive later, that once things calm down, you will reflect. Once this phase ends, you will reassess. Once this goal is reached, you will slow down. But the phase never truly ends. There is always another task, another deadline, another obligation waiting, and postponing reflection slowly becomes a habit that can stretch across years. Time passes quietly in this state, not dramatically, not painfully, just quickly. Months disappear without leaving a clear memory. You remember being busy but not being present. You remember handling things, but not shaping anything. Life feels like a sequence of reactions rather than a series of decisions. And because nothing collapses, the pattern feels sustainable until one day it doesn't. This is when many people feel a strange kind of grief, not for something they lost, but for something they never fully lived. A realization that they were so focused on maintaining momentum that they never paused to choose direction, that they protected themselves from discomfort so well they also protected themselves from fulfillment. Reclaiming direction does not begin with speed. It begins with permission. Permission to slow down without guilt, permission to disappoint expectations that were never aligned, permission to sit with uncertainty without immediately resolving it. This phase often feels uncomfortable because it lacks the familiar rewards of busyness. There is no applause, no visible progress, only internal recalibration. But this recalibration is where life regains depth, where actions stop being automatic, where choices regain weight, where movement becomes intentional again. And although this process feels slower, it creates something busyness never can: coherence, a sense that what you do connects to who you are becoming. The irony is that many people fear stillness because they believe it will make them fall behind. But often stillness is the only thing that prevents a lifetime of moving in the wrong direction. Speed without direction does not create success. It creates distance from self, from meaning, from purpose. The moment you stop keeping yourself busy is not the moment life collapses. It is the moment it begins to respond. Because life does not reveal direction to those who never pause long enough to listen. And that is the quiet truth most people never hear. You do not need more tasks. You do not need more pressure. You do not need to move faster. You need space. Space to see clearly. Space to choose deliberately. Space to move with intention rather than inertia. Because the most meaningful progress does not come from constant motion. It comes from conscious movement. And the day movement stops being an escape is the day direction finally returns.